And a very good morning to everyone, and welcome to Ask X Factor Live. You might be joining us here this morning. You might be watching this back on our new YouTube channel. Good morning to you and welcome. I'm your host, Julia Keedy. We have a very beautiful guest here today, Liliana, talking all about event fundraising. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here, and nice to see that we've got a little bit of
look at this
colour coordination going on.
I did feel the vibe this morning. So.
Right. Okay. Certainly wasn't planned, but we do look lovely.
Yeah, gorgeous colour. It's summer. We need a bit of colour.
Exactly. Welcome to those who are joining in there. I can see at the moment Catherine and Josie, Kiralee, Loretta, Monica, Peter. Good morning. Welcome to Ask X Factor Live. This is week 13. Can you believe, of our 18-week pilot? We just had this little crazy idea that we'd bring a different expert from our community online here every Wednesday morning, share knowledge. And then we kind of realized that we could actually record these questions into beautiful little videos. And so we're doing that, and we're so excited. We'll show you in a moment our new YouTube channel, and you might want to hop on there and subscribe and watch some of the other videos that we've been recording over the last 13 weeks. We are here for the next 45 minutes answering some great questions and getting into the mind of this beautiful woman, and 500 events under her belt. So, and you can't see it, but there's just this plethora of beautiful collateral and pictures of Olivia Newton-John and all sorts of people here in front of us. So we've got some show and tell along the way. Welcome if you're joining us for the first time, and welcome back if you've been here for the last couple of weeks and you're back again to dip into some more knowledge from the X Factor Collective. It's great to have you here. My name is Julia Keedy. I am the host of what we call Ask X Factor Live show, and I'm also the founder and CEO of the X Factor Collective. For those of you who don't know me, I spent the last 10 years in what I call the social impact sector, and a highlight of that was being the founding CEO of the Australian Women Donors Network, which is where we met, and where I met a lot of amazingly talented consultants, coaches and specialist agencies, and many of whom formed the basis of our foundation membership of the X Factor Collective. But it was during the time after Women Donors Network that I worked with hundreds of social change makers, individual philanthropists, businesses, charities, social enterprises, and a lot of other consultants and small businesses. And it was during that time I could see that there was a lot of isolation, there was a lot of heartache, and that I realised that there was probably a lot of ways that we could make life easier to care about people and the planet and to work more collaboratively. So I decided we needed a collective, and where social change makers could connect, collaborate and innovate together, and find the answers that you need just to be able to get on with your day, just to be able to get on with achieving the thing that your heart is wanting to achieve in this lifetime. So we just launched a few months ago. We have we're doing a few things. One thing is we're building a community of pre-vetted, highly skilled specialist consultants and coaches. So you know that when you come here, you're working with people who've got a lot of experience under their belt and really care about you and what you're trying to achieve. And also programs. So the exchange, the YouTube channel, this Ask X Factor Live, all of these things are ideas that we have on how we can make life easier for social change makers. So you can dip into the video library at the exchange whenever you want. You can pop into a session here once a week and ask your questions. And hopefully our theory is that some of this will make life a bit easier.
Yeah, I agree. It does make your life easier.
Yeah.
By talking to experts.
Yeah.
We all want to learn. So
that's true. So before we jump into today's session, let me just tell you, we have got 7 or 8 really great questions that we're going to be working through this morning. You are most welcome to ask your questions. We're using Zoom's webinar platform. There's a plug for Zoom. Hopefully we'll have them on board next year as a sponsor.
I like
yeah, absolutely. Come on Zoom. And so just down the bottom, you'll see you've got a Q&A box and a chat box. So you're welcome to ask your questions in either of those boxes throughout the course of this morning. We're here for the next 45 minutes or so with you. We are recording, so just so you know, you can answer your questions anonymously. Just put that on your question if you want to. Otherwise, we will mention your name as we're answering your question. And if your link drops out at your end, do not fear. There, I'm just putting that up on the screen right now. You can see that lovely lady with her phone, and there's some phone numbers there and a link and a code for you to be able to dial back in on your phone. The code and the phone link are also there on the chat box. So you've got that if anything drops out, but I think we're pretty much ready to jump into it now. So I'm super excited to have this lady here next to me today. She's meeting Liliana, and the experiences that I had with Liliana 9-10 years ago and others formed the basis of this crazy idea that I had about the X Factor and about the collective. And she's watched over the many years of me trying to work out how could we build a model that we could do this. So this woman means a lot to me. More than that, she is just one of the best people in the world at what she does. I haven't met anyone with as much passion and commitment to what she does, the way that she works with clients, the way she works with her team. And yeah, I can't speak highly of you. But let me just tell you, Liliana has about 500 events under her belt.
Probably a bit more now. But yeah, I do. Over 500 events.
It's incredible.
Crazy, yeah.
And she's helped a number of charities in that time, in the last 11 years, raise more than $22 million for really important causes across Australia, and now branching into international waters.
Yeah,
well, not the waters, into the across the waters. And yeah, I've seen very few people in the event space be able to create help their clients create really lasting legacies and great impact with their work. So delighted to have you here today, Lil, to share. Thank you.
Thank you. We made it work. We found a time. She's very good at organising the event manager, let me tell you. It doesn't happen all the time.
That's true. That's true. Exactly.
She booked like 6 months ahead, so I knew I was fine.
That's right. That's right. That's very true. I hadn't thought about that, organising the event manager. You're used to organising everybody else.
That works out well.
So before we get into some of these questions, can you share with everyone a bit about your background? How did you get into events, and maybe a bit about Perfect Events, your company? Yeah.
So I started Perfect Events 11 and a half years ago, and it was a passion for me I always organised everything. I never knew there was an actual job to get paid in events. And I started about 19 years ago when I was at AMP, to be honest, 20 years ago. I started the world's greatest shave for a cure. So Leukemia Foundation got adopted by AMP to help them grow on a national level because they were based in Queensland.
Right.
And then the foundation got started at AMP, and they said, we'll help Leukemia Foundation grow in every state. And we'll give them a free office in every state so they can use AMP employees to help them grow. Now,
fantastic.
Fundraising and events were completely different 20 years ago to where they are now. So really dependent on people power, not online and everything. So I was really fortunate that I met the then CEO, Damien Bowen, who's now Damien DeBowen, who works for Visit Victoria. Now, he was a general manager. He started at 27, and we were like, who is this guy working out, raising money for this charity?
Wow.
Long story short, met this beautiful woman who's still my mentor today, actually, Kathy Comfrey, who worked for the arts sector and said that she organised major events to raise money for the arts. And I said, what are you talking about? You can get paid to do this? I do this all the time. And fell in love with her. And I actually took my annual leave from AMP to work with her. Right. And then I took all my annual leave, which was crazy, to manage the shave for Leukemia Foundation because I had no staff. And then after hounding them for a very long time, I finally got a job to be the shave coordinator. And when I got that job, I was like, shave coordinator? I'm never shaving this hair. I mean, it's fuzzy now. And he's like, no, we need someone to grow it. And I'm like, grow it? Okay, what does that mean? So from that, In 5 years, I grew it from $70,000 to $2.1 million over 5 years in Victoria and Tasmania.
Wow.
And we had a team, but just the effort that had to go into growing that. And as I said, 19 years ago, it's still now, I think, the biggest or the second largest fundraising campaign in Australia.
Is it really?
Yeah. It raises $19 or $20 million now. It's crazy, which is fantastic because it changes so many people's lives. But the best thing I got out of it was I had to do road trips around Victoria, Tassie, like literally road trips, go to speak to country towns, understanding the split of fundraising dollars versus CBD versus regional money. And every year it was like 49% versus 51%. So that's not a big difference, but regional wanted to know where their money was. Right. So not only did I have to organise the events, I had to get smarter in understanding how to sell the concept to engage people. And events is really about what does it mean to that person and why are they getting involved. So from that, I've always worked not-for-profit corporate. I've been blessed to do amazing events, and then started my business, as I said, because my good husband challenged me and said, if you don't start your business by the 30th of June, you're never going to start a business. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? Anyway, put it out to the universe and finished, I think it was the Friday, 27th of June, started the Monday with 3 contracts. And then, started it that way. Jeff, my beautiful husband, said, we had this joke that if we couldn't afford the mortgage, he could pay it and my mum would feed us, because my background's Italian, so good mama, good nonna could feed us. And there were months, I'm not going to lie, there were months where they were really, really tough. And again, I'm not going to lie, there are still months where it's tight with a bigger team and bigger responsibilities. But I absolutely love what we do. We have produced over nearly 600 events, working from all kinds of events, from campaigns to conferences to gala dinners to fun runs and walks, really everything. The only thing we don't do are weddings. I did one celebrity wedding this year because I love him, but don't tell him that, and I won't tell you who it is, but that's all I do.
Okay, I don't do weddings unless I really, really like you as a celebrity.
Okay, I love him and I don't do weddings. But anyway, there are so many people that love weddings, and God bless you, wedding planners, that's your job. Yeah. I'm all about something else. So.
Yeah. I'd love to, it's not on our list of questions, but I think we should put it on our list for the next time we get together, is about, basically, is there any body part left to activate in terms of charity fundraising? There's the grow a moustache, shave something off.
There is one.
Is there still an unclaimed part of the body to,
Can I say it? Or are we X-rated here because we're the experts?
I don't know. I think it should be okay.
I always joke and say that we could do root for a cure.
Root for a cure. Okay, there you go. If you're listening today and you're looking
branded me,
an inspiration.
Not root me, but root for a cure. Every household would be raising that money. We could have public displays.
Oh dear.
Anyway, it's a good one. I'll leave it to you.
It's only 10:15 in the morning. No, that's okay.
That vodka? Oh, I got water.
No, that's water. Root for a cure. Excellent. Okay, that's the only part that's left of the body.
Everything else is taken.
We better get into some of these questions before this goes any further downhill. Welcome if you're just joining now. You might be wondering what you've just joined. Now, if you've just dialed in, you are here on Ask X Factor Live by the X Factor Collective. We are going to be looking at a range of different things today. Let me just look at my list. We've got the importance of discussing the expected commercial outcomes and returns, which is something that you have told me that a lot of people don't do really well with their executive teams or their CEO, and all the expectations are all over the place. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about using celebrities in your events, the pros and cons. We're going to be talking a lot about how to use events to connect people to your cause. And this is something that Lily teaches people in a beautiful way. So we've got the next little bit of while together. Please feel free to drop your questions there in the chat box or the Q&A box, and we can get onto them as well. So let's get into our first question, shall we? And this one is to do with, I guess, the fundamentals and some of the things that you help teach people. And it's the importance of knowing why you are using an event as a tool. Can you share your thoughts on that? Why is the why so important?
Look, the why is super important. And before I engage with anyone and I'm working on an event, or they approach me and they say, look, we want to work with you, or we're thinking of holding an event, we're not sure. And I'm like, yeah, let's have a chat.
Yeah.
And then I ask them, what does this mean to the organisation? Because if they understand why they're holding this event and what it means to the organisation, then usually I can filter it down and to start to understand how does it fit into the bigger picture.
Right.
People see events as silo. They say,
Right.
oh, we're just doing another dinner, or we have to do this, or
Okay.
We've been doing it for the last few years, so we just need to do it because that money in our cash flow. But you're not actually getting anything out of it. And look, there are plenty of event planners out there, and that can help you with that. But my biggest value is strategically looking at why is that event so important for the organisation, and what is the value it brings overall in the next 12, 18, 3 years. How do you grow it? And a lot of people these days want to understand how the events fit in, because the event is such a massive tactic in the strategy of your whole organisation. It should not just sit under one banner, and it shouldn't sit under one team. The whole building, the whole office should be part of it. You know, when you're talking about campaigns, like, I mean, Shave was a great example. We couldn't do it just me by myself. You had to integrate the nurses, the support workers, the volunteers. And there's countless examples like that. So why is really, really important. And from middle management to CEO level, even sometimes it's the board, you know, getting them to understand why this event has to happen.
And I guess you see people that think that they have to have an event, like, you know, next year's my 25th anniversary of my business, or we've got a 50th since our charity was set up, and they feel like they have to do something, but without knowing what sits under that why. It's like, it's not just a nice thing to have.
And when I do a lot of the workshops, I talk to people about how events evolve and why that's really important. And I think you know about this. We call it the 3 C's: the clarity, the charity, and the commercial, which we'll delve into a bit more. When we start with the clarity is, as an organisation or in that workshop, who are we serving? Why is this event important? And the event might not just be one event. It's a tactic to a bigger problem, or a solution to something you're trying to delve into. And there's a great example. We're working with Women's Health Victoria at the moment. They celebrate 25 years next year. I had a workshop with them a few months ago with 19 passionate women who are the leading advocacy body in Victoria. And a lot of us women sit here because they've done so many things for us that we don't even know that they've challenged the government on our behalf. But it was interesting to get them all to understand this 25th anniversary. What does it mean to the people? And what we resonated with was the sector really knows about them, but everyone else doesn't. So how do I make noise? And what does that look like? And how, as an organisation, do you feel comfortable to make noise that goes against everything else that you do? And that's also challenging, because if you're an advocacy body, you want me to go out there and beat my chest and say how amazing we are? Oh, we don't do that. Well, you kind of need to, because if you can't depend on government funding, you need to build a donor base, you need to build relationships. This event, or these series of events, will help you get to that.
Beautiful.
And that's how we try and link it all in.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, the work that you're doing there is starting to catalyse great transformation in organisations, the way they think about themselves. And let's face it, with government funding and the changes that are happening, we're seeing so many organisations that are starting to think more about building that community around them, building that brand community around the cause. You know, who else cares about this as much as we do? And
you're one charity out of how many? Victoria's got the highest charities in Australia, and I think it was like 60,000, 70,000.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. And Victoria and New South Wales have got the highest percentage. So we're fighting for that dollar, and how do we stand out? And in the events world, I think in particular, events are not dying. People keep telling me. Oh, really?
Yeah, they're not dying at all. People want more of this. People crave human interaction. We're so connected, yet we're so disconnected, because me touching Julia and saying, oh my God, how are you going? Where are you at? Having that conversation versus online, an email, a text, an EDM, that's not connecting with people, you know. And over the years, I remember there's being Cup Week this week. You guys will appreciate this.
For those that aren't in Melbourne, the whole city is just basically in spring racing fever.
Yeah. And we even had the day off yesterday for Melbourne Cup, which was great. But I remember my mentor, Kathy, went to the races and she was invited to the birdcage, and she always spoke about this example. And a guy in one of the birdcages and one of the big marquees, which is great opportunity, had won a lot of money off one of the horses, and he walks in, he collected his wad of cash, gets a $50 note and he throws it on the floor, keeps walking through, gets another one, throws the $50 on the floor. So being her, working for Leukemia Foundation at that time, she's like, what's this guy doing with this money? Hang on. So she'd go behind him collecting the money, you know, as a good not-for-profit worker would do. Going, hang on, that could help someone, you know. Finally, she sits down, and she had a wad of cash, right? She sits down and talks to him. This guy, believe it or not, won all this money, but ends up being a big creative executive. She starts talking about, well, I'm going to bring this to Leukemia Foundation. Can I have your details? I'll send you a receipt. He was like, yeah, sure. But they had a great conversation. And then, believe it or not, after that, they had a coffee, and he ended up being one of the largest creative agencies and owned a lot of the billboards over the freeways, you know. And now they're electronic and things. And he had a friend who was in hospital with leukemia at the time. So he became a big donor. He helped support us the following year with the campaign. But they're the kind of opportunities that you don't get to have. I mean, she was ballsy enough to go collect the money, which is great, but that is a great connection. Afterwards,
talking with people.
And I can't tell you how many. You can too. Like the amount of times we've done that. So events aren't dying. So I went around in a long way and taught you that.
No, that's all right. That's all right. I want to hear more about the 3 C's, and I think one of your C's from memory might connect into this next question, which is about the importance of the event creating the difference, really a tangible difference. So let's maybe jump into that, because I think it might link back to your 3 C's, which we can keep unpacking. I love Liliana's 3 C's. Everyone needs to write them down and put it on a post-it note. They're really great for not just events, it's for really a good application for everything. So how do you define the difference your charity event is making or will make, and how important is it to have a clear, tangible difference that you are making?
Quite often that is a question that I ask the client, and they will verbally, becomes a bit of, it's like your 30-minute pitch. You'll start telling me, oh, this is what we do. Our vision is to cure. Our vision is to care. Or we help the homeless people get off the streets. We create, for vision impaired people, we do A, B, C. And I'm like, yeah, that's your tagline. But what is the actual difference? What are you doing to people's lives to change them? And that is from all aspects, from the user. For a charity, you know, like Guide Dogs, incredible. They change people and empower people by giving them somehow their vision, if they're vision impaired, by, you know, a Guide Dog is a huge investment for the organisation, but that is one thing they do to all the other products that they help service. So what is the difference you make as an organisation to people's lives that are the user or the person you support, as well as the general public? And a lot of people forget about that, because the impact that you make as an organisation to the public, other people don't do that. So what is it that you're doing? What's the difference? And believe it or not, I do these workshops with corporates, and I've run a few this year for financial institutions. And when I put the words, the 3 C's, so clarity, charity, and then commercial, they look at me and they're like, we're a corporate. And I'm like, charity is what's the difference you make in people's lives. So what is it as a financial institution that you do that makes people want to come to you? And there was one organisation that talks about liberating people's lifestyle. And I'm like, well, that's what you do to people's lives. You liberate people's lifestyle by educating them, by teaching them how to budget, helping them with their finances. Then how do you translate into A, B, C? If it's an event, if it's a tactic, if it's a campaign. So for you guys, I'm presuming, a lot of you are from the not-for-profit world. It's understanding that difference you make, and sometimes by defining it, you'll understand who's your target audience as well. So if you find you need to get more to the corporates, or you need to build a power pack of people that you want as your ambassadors, or these days advocates, which is a bigger difference than ambassadors, what does that look like? So does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Have you got anything here on the beautiful table that shows where you've had an organisation that's been able to clearly define, you know, the difference that they're making and conveying that through one of their events?
Look, I think at the moment I've got a lot of, you know, this is a great report. So we did WaterAid for a number of years, and I loved WaterAid because WaterAid, the actual gala dinners were organised by all the Melbourne water companies.
Great.
Who put their employees in charge and had a power group who organised their galas, and the money, because they were in the water industry, went to WaterAid. What that then did was they built all these ambassadors around Australia.
Wow.
They do these events through each state. And it was great for us to understand, because then we could teach them and say, okay, where do you want the money to go? And what does the water community, you know, think, and what do they really want to know, especially the corporates in that market. So it was great over the years to see how that translated. And then some of those people that were ambassadors went to the projects where the money was going. So the following year, we spoke about it.
Right.
An interesting point on that, some of the fundraising elements that we did for this event were really targeted to the corporates in the room. So one of the biggest high seller was a dinner with the MDs from all the water companies.
Oh, wow.
Because people want to talk to that, you know, instead of just
that's like a great idea,
buying a piece of memorabilia or a footy box or to the rugby. So this is a really, really good event, and I saw that translate. And then, you know, the other one I probably had a great impact was working with the fabulous Jerry Lewis. Hopefully most of you would remember who this amazing man was. I grew up watching him on a Sunday. I'm sure you did.
Yeah, absolutely.
We did some great events to raise money for muscular dystrophy, and looking at how we could work with Jerry when he came to Australia to get the muscular dystrophy message. And then the money went to not only some causes, but they invested in terms of some of the support work.
Oh, great.
And over the couple of years, we saw that impact the organisation. So I think it was an interesting conversation, because having such a power like Jerry, his expectations versus the charity also had to be met, and made sure we maintained the integrity of the brand.
Yes.
So yeah, there was an interesting, you know, and then that's just a couple of things. And
I didn't realise with the WaterAid ball, I didn't realise that it was actually all the water companies coming together like that. And that is just such a beautiful way to sort of re-engineer our thinking, and especially if you're listening today or you're watching this back on YouTube, it's how do you kind of think more laterally and creatively about who might have a like interest in the difference that you're trying to create, that can actually help you really pull together an amazing activation, but also grow it. So,
and that's when you understand the difference that you make, you can also articulate what's your target audience and how do you work on that target audience. And there's a great example. We just did about a month ago or two, an event for the farmers charity lunch. Obviously there's a big push at the moment for some of our farmers that are doing it tough, especially far north Queensland. A massive developer here in Melbourne fell in love with a story and fell in love with a couple that he saw on Channel 9 and Today Show, and he automatically said, what am I going to do? Like, I can't just be here and not do anything. Anyway, in 4 weeks we organised the lunch, all targeted purely for the property and development group, and a lot of work. In that short time, it was supposed to be 50 people, became 210 people. All these amazing people came on board. We flew down the farmers from Queensland, talk about tangible. Anyway, we raised $125,000.
Brilliant.
You know, like,
just from one person.
One person, but it was his audience, and he knew how to market to that audience. So I guess there's power in that message, because quite often, and I talk generally here, and a lot of not-for-profits and charities go, oh, we'll just get anyone in the room. And but if you don't have that strategic approach and saying, who do we get in the room, you're not going to get the right outcome. And a lot of the times it's around money.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a really good idea. We get a lot of different people coming to Ask X Factor Live. You know, we've got social enterprises, charities, we've got businesses that have just got a really, strong purpose focus with their business, or just really traditional corporates are listening in as well and picking up tips. And I think that's one of the things as well, is that if you are a business and you're looking to activate something as a business owner, that you can come to this and actually have a conversation around the cause, the difference, and all of this as well, and think more, think a bit more creatively around what that might do, or what that might get started for your business as well. Like that might then take that in, and their team, and how much goodwill and team building that creates by having something really positive and strong in their business.
Sometimes it's hard when you're working in something, all you see, I call it, you've got the blinkers on, you just see what you're doing, you don't see anything else. Whereas we've got a helicopter view, so quite often I say I'm the helicopter, I can give you a bit of a bigger perspective because you're thinking this and all you can see is that. But in actual fact, do you want to do that? Is that your right? Because you can learn, or don't do this. This is what's working here. So it's just,
absolutely. That's it. Well, let's move on to a couple more questions. Hope you're enjoying our session here today with Liliana. Let's talk about income and the commercial side of things, which is one of your 3 C's. Is it?
Yeah, commercial.
It was. Commercial's the third one. Hang on a minute. I had a moment. So obviously fundraising, the income generation component is a critical part for a lot of people with why that they would use events as a tool. Can you talk a bit about the importance of discussing the expected commercial return right from the start, and maybe some examples around that of where organisations have and been able to reach those outcomes?
It's absolutely probably the number one question I generally ask when I'm working or talking to people about an event, and then when we're engaged. I'll always say, what do we need to raise? What have you done traditionally? If it's a new event, we work with them to say, what do you feel you're going to raise? And we break down the event. The commercial aspect is number one. And sometimes it's not just dollars. It's about building a plan to create relationships that build like long-term investment into the organisation. So that commercial return has to be clearly understood. So if it's financial and it's fundraising, what does that look like? And what are the tactics to make that dollar raise? If it's around building a strategy so that again, I call it 18 months, not 3 years or 5 years. So 18 month spurts that you build one sort of program to get then after 18 months to the next. What does that look like and what are you building towards? So if it's a capital campaign, who are you integrating with? What does that mean? If it's an organisation like Women's Health Victoria, who I said are doing the 25th anniversary, they have amazing relationships in the sector, but how do we build that with outside the sector? So we're literally doing a campaign, you're either on the bus or you're off the bus.
Right.
And that works for us because in the language, and if you're a leader, most of you would know that book, it's From Good to Great. It's about leadership and being on the bus or off the bus. And if you're an advocate or an ambassador. So looking at strategies of how you engage with your people to get the financial return. And it has to be a financial return. To me, you're not doing an event to spend all this time and money and effort. And look, I get told all the time I hate events from people who work in not-for-profits. I don't know how you do it. I hate it. We're the crazy people that love it because I see there's a bigger purpose. And the bigger purpose is it changes people's lives. Like you make relationships that raises millions and millions of dollars that otherwise could not exist. So let's understand that C. And when you do a workshop or when we're talking about it, it's interesting when you do the clarity, the charity, the commercial, and you start to look at all the different aspects, you can then gauge this sector needs this event and that will raise this amount of money. Okay, what about this sector, the community, the corporate, the government, the philanthropist? Like, depends what you are and what you're building. When I did it for the financial firms, one of their biggest market is actually other accountants. because that's a big referral base. So what are you doing to those referrers or those people that bring in business to you, and how are you two working together in partnership and collaboration? So it's just trying to open that way of thinking. Yeah.
And in terms of having those discussions, like how far up an organisation do you need to be having and setting those expectations?
Look, I won't lie, I love it when the CEOs in the organisation, in the workshops, for example, or those strategic discussions.
Right.
We held one recently for the Essendon Long Walk Foundation, and we have been doing their events for the last few years. That's where Michael Long, next year's their 15th anniversary, actually.
Really?
Yeah,
15 years. Wow.
Where Michael Long just basically took it upon himself to walk from Melbourne to Canberra to go and put the Indigenous community issues
on the map.
So, you know, and he's this great saying, like, you know, we're all a team when we play football and we all support each other, but off the ground, are we? And how do we put Indigenous community in that conversation? So when we did that workshop, it was great because we had Liliana, who runs the foundation, who's a gun, plus some board members, a couple of key staff members. And I try and get some of the people who love the organisation versus some of the people on the board, volunteers or key stakeholders.
Yeah, right.
And I think it just allows for a really healthy conversation. And then you usually get to a point where you're all on the next page. So we agree to something and then say, okay, so what does that look like? And what does success mean? If you don't define what success means as an organisation, then you can't look at those 3 C's. And I do that first usually. So, yeah.
Great. Sounds fantastic. I'll let you catch a breath and have a glass of water, and I'm just going to let people know what's coming up on the show in the next couple of weeks. If you're new to Ask X Factor Live, this is an 18-week pilot and we've only got 5 weeks left, but we are recording all the sessions and they're going up onto our new YouTube channel. So let me just show you that. There's just a quick glimpse of our new YouTube channel. It's called The Exchange. I guess the philosophy set that sits in behind the X Factor Collective is that we are a knowledge sharing community. Part of our community is that we have the most awesome consultants, coaches and specialist agencies like this person here, and that can help you get on with achieving your social mission. So we've got the first 58 videos up on the Exchange, which is really exciting. I think it's going to be one of the first of its kind, a social impact video library. And our target is to have 500 questions and answers on there in the next 1 to 2 years. So you can go there, use it as a resource, watch back some of the shows. We're cutting this session up and all the sessions into little sort of 2-minute, 5-minute sort of sessions. And great if there's something there that you need to go to use to show your CEO or to show a board or to show a partner. To actually help them understand something that you might not have the words to explain, but one of our experts in the community might have said it really nicely on one of those videos. So hopefully they help you as little advocacy tools in your organisation. So if you are new and you haven't actually seen the rest of the program, let me just show you what's coming up quickly in the next couple of weeks. Well, we're doing something a bit strange actually today. We're doing 2 sessions. I might lose my voice over the next couple of hours because at 11:30, straight after our session with Liliana today, we will have Tisha Archer, who's got about 10 years experience in major gifts and capital campaigns, and she's one of our foundation members here at the X Factor Collective. So Tisha will be here at 11:30 this morning. So if you want to dial back in, if you're not already registered, you can just register. There's a half an hour gap between the 2 and then jump back in. And then over the next couple of weeks, we've got some really great people. So we've got another double session next week and another double session coming up on research, data and insights into late November. But we've got next week about building your profile using all of the great media channels and PR tools. And we've got 2 of the most experienced comms and PR people in Melbourne who are members of the X Factor Collective here next week. The following week, we have our awesome brand guru, Darren Taylor, who is one of the most exquisite human beings, and also his knowledge on brand and how to use your brand to achieve your business goals or your organization goals. Your brand is not your logo. It is so much more. And we love having Darren in the community, and he's going to be here talking about getting your brand right from the start if you are setting up something new, or if you're looking at having a brand refresh or, you know, reinvigorating your organization. Darren's going to talk through some of that with us, which is great. So that's what's coming up. Feel free to come and join. All the sessions are free, and please do let other people know about the program, and especially if there's a topic there that you think, you know, over the next couple of weeks, there's someone that you think that would get some value from dropping by. So let's jump into some more questions. I'm just having a look over here on my screen at the questions. So over the years, Lil, you've helped design and produce literally hundreds, nearly 600 events or more. It'd be great to hear some examples from your long list of successes, you know, here on this question. And the question is how do events help connect more people to your organization's cause?
I love that question, because I think, as I mentioned before, in today's society in particular, we're so connected digitally, in a digital world, but yet we're so disconnected in that human interaction. And, you know, people crave human interaction, and that's why events are not dying. There's this crazy statistic going around that people face FOMO, that if they see an event and they end up following it on YouTube or they see it live, 70% of them want to try and come to the event next year. Now,
oh wow,
that crazy statistic, I don't know if that's true. In terms of some of the bigger festivals, they know it converts a lot of money. Pay to view, you see some of the bigger events do the pay to view, which is great, but again, it's not giving that connection of being at the event. So being at the event, the one to many, is something you will never get other than, you know, this way, like what we're doing today, talking to you on the other side of the screen is beautiful, and you're connecting to me, but I'm not connecting to you. And I'd rather connect to you, because then when I have that conversation with you the next time, I'll say, oh my God, hi, you're so-and-so, you did this and this. Oh, how do you want to work together? Or what is it that you need? Or you need to connect to Julia. Oh my gosh, she is amazing. She can help you do that. So events allow you to do that. And for a not-for-profit, it's really, really important. And it's not just the event that's important, it's the follow-up and building that legacy, building the story with them, keeping them engaged. What are you doing to hold their hand and make them feel like they're a special part of your organisation? You know, we're looking at an event for next year, and they've been going on for, I don't know, I think it's 16 years, and they want some help now. Part of my conversation is, well, it's great that you have all these people that come to your event, but what else do you do with them? And how else are they engaged in the organisation? Because even though events aren't dying, we're becoming more discerning at what we do choose our time and what event we do go to and what charity we support. So really understand how you want to connect to that person, and sometimes less is more. You know, really do smaller events and more intimate events because they raise more money. But it also gives that a bit of that family feel that, we're all wanting to support each other, and, you know, how do we work together? So that connection is strong in building long-term partnerships. And, you know, and I just put in this one. I'll show you this one. This is the opaque ball that we did for guide dogs, probably.
I'll hold it up. I'll hold it closer to the camera so people can see.
Sorry.
That's so cute.
And we did a dinner with the local council because they were a huge supporter. And we did a whole course where they wore a blindfold. It was really interesting and interactive for the people to feel what would it mean to be vision impaired.
Oh wow, a blindfolded event.
Yeah.
What
so
a
you
great
had
idea.
to eat, which was funny, let me tell you.
You had to eat with the blindfold.
Yeah.
You're just mean.
But the whole concept was that this Burundara City Council wanted to work closely with guide dogs, and we knew what they were looking for. We knew what we needed to start some of the programs. So that's a relationship that came out of that, and they gave us the hall for free. They looked at how to promote it in the community. So that's just an example of connecting. And from that till this day now, they have some great relationships with the council because of that. So, you know, there's different ways of connecting with people.
And that's something that that lateral thinking again in terms of engaging with the local council and what comes from that type of relationship, most people might not even think of that. Like they might be thinking about, you know, donors and philanthropists and, you know, engaging, you know, trusts and foundations or, you know, different groups, but not thinking about some of these other groups that you can partner up with and where that relationship might go. Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, you know, from that came this event, which is called Dogs Unite.
My nails aren't as amazing. Look at that. Look at those nails.
It's for W. And that was ran that event in the Boroondara Council, like for guide dogs in the area that they were in, again to build that relationship.
Yeah.
We did it for 2 years. It just helped them build some momentum and some community. Now they've gone to another campaign called August, which is again online for them, but it's that starting to build the connections and people building that network of other like-minded people. And I think that's really important, really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, well, just on that note about engaging with the local council and local government is a really beautiful segue into our next question. Don't you love that? It's like, woo! So the next question is to do with something that you teach a lot of people, and it's a phrase that we hear a lot now, which is, you know, think local, act global. And I hear you talk about this a lot with people and teach this. Why is this becoming so important now in event strategies?
Exactly what we're doing today. The accessibility to see anything online and compare and be part of any world event is so instantaneous these days. I think that is one of the number one thing. But we are not just Australia, we are not just Melbourne, it's the whole world, and events appeal to the whole world. And really looking at that, you know, people want to think local, but you need to act global. And what does that mean? For every event is different.
Right.
I've been helping a regional community do an event or reinvigorate their event. It's one of their major events. They forgot it was a major event for them. They had just gone into budget mode. Well, it costs us this amount of money. This is all it does, instead of thinking the bigger community aspect of what it does.
Yeah.
And the council saying, well, we also support you because you're part of a bigger program for us. So they kind of went, oh, okay, so if we don't think like it's a tourist event or it's an activation, we might lose some funding. So it sort of woke them up as well. But they need to attract some of the bigger people to this event. And what does that look like? So when I'm there talking to them, we're strategically thinking, all right, well, if we did write to that person and invited them to be participate in this event, what does that add to our event and what does that look like?
Yes.
And even on a local level, even though they're regional, we have to use all regional suppliers, but sometimes you need to go outside to look at suppliers from overseas or interstate to get you the best result for ultimately whatever that commercial return is. And that's what it comes down to. So, you know, think local, act global is really, really important. I mean, we worked with the Arnold Schwarzenegger event for a few years, and Arnold's a great advocate in everywhere he goes around the world. It's all about health and fitness, but he knows he's going to get the best result, even though if he comes in town and he brings his whole brigade, he's going to get the best result by working with the locals and the professionals here. So it's how do you build that community? What is it that you're going to get from that? And again, what's the commercial return for that aspect?
Yeah. And I mean, on a global front as well, you were saying earlier this morning that you're doing some work in Canada and, you know, just starting for you to be thinking about what's happening outside of Australia. You did an event in LA last year, and that came connected. That was through Connections here in Melbourne.
So we actually launched the Fred Hollows Foundation in Los Angeles, which was a huge opportunity. So nearly a year ago, I can't believe it. And that was because, again, they were thinking globally where their market's going and where it's growing, and with the American donor. So Joel Edgerton is the international ambassador, so a huge opportunity to do an actual gala dinner, or a dinner as they call it, for Joel and 200 of his friends in LA, in Hollywood, working with our celebrities aren't to the level that their celebrities are. It was an incredible result.
Joel's pretty.
Yeah. He's gorgeous.
He's loved around the world, isn't he?
Yeah. But like we had the likes of Ricky Martin there, Paris Hilton, Sophia Bukella, Lara Worthington, like all these amazing people, but they know how to raise money, and their aspect of raising money is completely different to our world. And I also had to be careful because I was the Australian producer coming to produce an event in America, which the Americans didn't love, to be honest.
No.
But the Australian charity, Fred Hollows, knew they needed someone to keep the integrity of the brand, the message, versus the outcome of a celebrity wanting a celebrity event. And that's a lot of the work I've done over the years. How do you keep that integrity and that triangle really, really neat, and that it all works and everyone gets what they need to. So amazing experience, but I learned a lot around that event.
I bet. And we're actually going to move in a minute across into talking more about celebrities. But before we do, I'm just going to show you something, and that is how to connect in with Lil, I call her Lily, Liliana. All our members have a profile page on our X Factor Collective website, and I'm just bringing up a snapshot of Liliana's profile there. You can read about her there. You can share that link with people in your team, in your organisation, maybe to encourage the organisation to bring Lil in to run a workshop, and just to get the organisation, either sort of reimagining the work that they're already doing, or starting to think about how you could use events as a tactic over the next couple of years. So jump onto the website, have a look at her link there, and you can read there some testimonials from other clients that have worked with Lily as well. Also, just to let you know that a part of the X Factor Collective is the hub and the heart of the X Factor Collective as we grow is the concierge. And the concierge is about being able to help you at any given time with anything that you need. So you can, because we're growing and because we've got people joining our community, specialists joining our community, every week, every month over the next couple of years, we're going to be a really beautiful big community. You might not want to have a look around on our website to try and see who might be able to help you. You can just call concierge. So, and we're really going to be a very experienced group in concierge with a lot of experience across the sector, and from the corporate world as well. So we can talk a number of different dialects and languages in the concierge, and listen to what it is that you need, and maybe make some suggestions on who we might have in the community to help you with what you're looking to achieve. So do always sing out to us, and we can help you get started, get moving on some of your projects. I didn't even want to have to say any of that because I'm busting to talk about celebrities.
No, it's good. You need to say that.
Absolutely. But yes, I do want to get on to celebrities, and we've got about sort of 5 minutes. We are going a little bit longer over time, if that's okay. We'll just go for another couple of minutes.
Listeners out there, no one's giving
very,
us a
very
question.
quiet.
Bye.
No one's talking to us, but feel free to drop in any final questions. We've got a couple of minutes left to go. So this next question might have us laughing or crying, or a mix of everything. You've worked with everybody, and we've got the evidence sitting here in front of us. Again, you can't see everything here, but it's just a plethora of celebrity faces looking at us.
Yeah.
So let's unpack that, because what do you say to organisations who are wanting to use celebrities, for the first time in events strategy, and how important are they within an events strategy?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I find that most organisations who have a connection with a celebrity, it's grown over the years. It's really hard to engage with someone just off the back and sending them a letter or a request or a direct tweet or a direct message on Instagram. Not to say it hasn't been done, it has been done, but it's how do you build that connection with a celebrity? And it's quite often the relationships that have been going on for a long time with the charity organisation that are quite successful. Now, you will be saying, well, how do you get to that if we don't engage with them?
Sure.
And that it is a bit of a chicken and an egg, but you need to identify which of those ambassadors or celebrities you want to work with and how do they align with your brand. A great example was we worked with Carers Victoria and Carers Australia. Charlie Pickering kept on doing a lot of stories about when he was on the project about young people in care. He was quite passionate about it. So carers mostly predominantly being women, and then obviously there was a big push around young people. We approached him to be an ambassador to we did a carers walk and activation, and he was fantastic and very articulate, which I loved, in saying, I will support you for this one event. Don't come to me with 20 other things.
Right. Yeah.
My time is so busy, but I will give you this part of me. You know what? And I love that. And we do that with a lot of our celebrities, because if they are supporting that one, what is it, cause, activation, then that's all they want to do it. Chris Hemsworth does it with the Australian Childhood Foundation. Very passionate about, violence against children, but he's also so busy that he says, I can give you this. Ask me one or two things, or if it's a message or whatever. But they're also saying, as celebrities, but what does that mean commercially to your organisation? So why would I put my time when really, as in a commercial result, it's not resulting a lot to your organisation? So they want to feel that they're giving you their value. And a lot of celebrities, I get this all the time, people think by having a celebrity there that they're going to increase attendance. In some cases it does. It really helps sells tickets. And I can talk to you about one of the Olivia Newton-John events that we did. But how does that convert into dollars for the celebrity? Because they're not going to give you any money. Most of them don't.
Yes.
Because they're giving their time.
Giving their time.
And their connections and their presence in the media. So understanding what you want from that celebrity ambassador, understanding what journey you want to take them on, how do you engage them? I look at, we started the Olivia Newton-John gala dinner and the walk, and it was called then the Wellness Walk, and it's changed over a few years. I'll give it to you. She's a better model.
I can be the prop lady.
And over the years, we did a walk and then we did a gala dinner, and it was because Olivia would commit to the Austin Hospital her time to come down. They hadn't done a walk then, and I loved this when we started it. We worked with the council, the hospital and the community to do a community event, a walk and a fundraiser. Nothing really like that around, and it was a great start. Now they've moved on and they've taken it away from us, but they're doing it in-house, and they're working with La Trobe University and their event students and doing it internally, but it's grown over the years. And Olivia knows that's her commitment. She comes down. They have international fundraising as part of it. So she knows clearly what she's doing. And then the gala we had for a number of years. And over those years, we've had great people perform, from
I can hold that one.
Veronica's. We got John Farnham out of retirement. Yes, I can say that. And then John,
hasn't he been out of retirement
a few times? Yeah. And then
is that your fault that he keeps coming out of retirement for events?
Maybe. But we got them on tour again, which was great. Then I think this was the ultimate coup for Olivia, was when she got the Bee Gees, Barry Gibb, to come out and perform. And that in itself, which was incredible for the organisation to have that calibre of celebrities. But with that comes a lot of costs, a lot of other things for the organisation. So again, it's really being clear at the start. What is it that you want? How is it that going to affect the organisation? What are the costs? Who are you going to meet? So celebrities are a great, great asset, but with that comes a lot of trouble sometimes, or challenges, I should say, because those challenges you have to outweigh. Like the LA event that we did last year was crazy. Some of the requests I got on the event day, I was like, "You're kidding me! You want me to
like
pay?"
what was the most outrageous celebrity request?
To say that on it, but it was just crazy.
Oh, we're back to the tone from the start.
No, it wasn't it wasn't the X-rated versions. It was just the demands of, I want this in my room, or I don't like that person, they can't do my makeup. Just crazy demands. You will do this, I need that. And it wasn't even a question, it was just a demand. The expectations are, we need to be really clear, and their entourage, who comes with them, who you're working with.
We might have an entourage one day, Lil. What do you think?
We do, don't we, already? So it's really And quite often, the actual celebrity, the person's beautiful, but it's their people that make life really difficult. And you need someone like myself that has a bit of thick skin just to get to them and say, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
However, the charity can't afford to do ABC. So what's possible? What can we do for whatever you're wanting?
That's
So
great.
it's really trying to understand, what that looks like. And yeah, so celebrities are an interesting piece.
Can I show everyone these? These are just beautiful.
Yeah.
These are in amongst all Liliana's beautiful notes here. These are handwritten notes from Olivia Newton-John to Lil, saying how much she appreciates Lil and the care she's taken over the years. And this is the type of people that this is the X Factor Collective.
Yeah.
People like this who are just incredible and who are cherished by a number of people all around the world.
And I think one of the great things celebrity does is open up doors.
Yeah.
And those doors that they open are so fantastic. And as an organisation and a charity, you need to understand how to use that and use it to the benefit of the patients, their families, the carers. It just depends what you want to do, So I'm happy to have those conversations. We're actually looking at some international stars coming out to help organisations to be ambassadors, and that in itself is a really interesting perspective, because someone on an international level might bring light to something happening local, but you can't break through the noise and you need someone to help you align. And, people get scared and like, oh, that's going to cost too much money. And I'm like, don't worry about the money, because quite often celebrities like a Michelle Obama or an Angelina Jolie or a Reese Witherspoon or whoever they are want to know what the cause is. And if they connect with the cause, excuse me, they often would say, yeah, let's see how we can fit it in, and I'll give you a donation or you give a donation to my charity. So it wins, everyone's happy, So look, there's plenty of different ways of doing it.
Yeah, great. Fantastic. Well, Lil, we are at 11 o'clock. We've been going for an hour. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here today. Lil, thank you so much for preparing for the session, for being here. I know you're definitely going to be back again next year. We will send you a link after this with that link to Liliana's profile page. We'll let you know as soon as these episodes are live on the Exchange website as well, so you might like to share them with other people.
Please do.
And do feel free, we'll send you a copy of the Ask X Factor Live program. There's a few more sessions left for the rest of the year featuring foundation members of the X Factor Collective. And please feel free to share that with your colleagues and your friends and come join in. If you want to jump back online in half an hour, we will have Tisha Archer here talking about capital campaigns and major gift fundraising. Very, very experienced woman who's raised with teams $10 million a year and grown extraordinary gifts over the years in Australian fundraising. So she'll be here in half an hour sharing her knowledge with us. Thank you very much, Lil. It's been great having you today.
Thank you for having me, and feel free to send a question or ask through the collective. We would love to work with you or support you in anything, really. Yeah.
Absolutely. Great. Excellent. Have a beautiful rest of your day, everybody, and thanks for being here. All the best.
Bye.